Like
And he's on the move.
Hey, gang, welcome to Monday Movie Club. That's what we're calling ourselves now. And it's a new year. We spent a whole entire year, once a week. We have 52 videos to prove that we've met every week for 52 weeks to talk about movies. That's pretty damn exciting for me.
Happy anniversary. Frank, are you and I the only ones who made everyone, or did Joel make everyone?
Well, I'm pretty sure I was here for all of them.
I think so.
Yeah, I certainly was. Weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. But here's the thing. So it was kind of my idea, but it was kind of Joel's idea, really, because, Joel has all these film clubs where he meets and watches movies with people. And I thought, wow, we could do like a video version of that. And so that was my idea. That was my little germ of an idea. And I'm glad that, and, because it was COVIDs and we couldn't see anybody. So it was fun to meet on Zoom. So here we are still doing it. And we still have COVIDs. So there. Okay. So we're starting a new project now. It's first of the year that each of us, except Bill, will be selecting movies for us to watch as a group. Well, we don't watch them together. We'll talk about them together. And so first up, I torture the group with one of my favorite films, The Big Chill from 1983. Joel, you had a puzzlement there. What?
Why would you use the word torture?
Oh, okay. Well, I know personally that some of the movies on other people's list will be torturing me.
Oh, I know that. I did a few of those on purpose, but
yes. So
I can't imagine this being one of them. So
okay. Well, I think Amy was tortured a little bit, but we'll get there. So I'm Frank Gaffney, and of course here with me is Amy Bowman, who put up the Criterion collection of the show. And Joel Fenster, who the three of us have been on every one of these videos. That's exciting.
And just so you know, that is actual Criterion disc is behind me. So
yes, I have the movie, but I don't have the Criterion movie. But okay, so and Joel Fenster, of course, with his Criterion collection. Mark Wotitzgartner, who couldn't think of a backdrop for his, and and Annie was just here a second ago, and then she's, where in the world is Annie King? She's at a hotel somewhere. I think once a month, her and her husband get together to, rodeo in a different place. But, and our special guest, Bill Wernicke. Bill wants to be a regular now. We're asking him for dues. Okay, so I have to preface it by saying that I was in college when this movie came out. So, it's a little of its time, of course. It's a bit of a time capsule, if you will. But then and now, I feel like I'm reading from my notes. It's a compelling indictment of the 60s radicals who thought they were going to change the world. And then how do they reconcile their college dreams once they've made compromises and they're in the place they are now in their 30s? When I first saw the film, it was like, like a warning, don't let this happen to you. Hang on to your dreams, kind of thing. And look at me now, yay. No, all right. So, so first a little bit how the film came about. So after writing Empire Strikes Back and Raiders of the Lost Ark, Lawrence Kasdan got a chance to direct his own script of Body Heat. That was in 1981. And all those three were huge critical and financial successes. And every movie studio wanted to be in business with him, but no one wanted to do The Big Chill. And I think this is why. This is Lawrence Kasdan saying, "The Big Chill refers to the experience of cold adult reality after leaving the warm embrace of true friendship during college." So you see why nobody wanted to make that movie. But so the basic plot, if you don't know the movie, is that this group of baby boomers, they all attended University of Michigan together, and they reunite 15 years later when their college friend Alex kills himself. And the minister at the funeral says, "Where did Alex's hope go?" And I feel like that really is the theme of the film for all of them. Where did their hope go? Because they've changed in those 15 years. And I really feel like it does a great job intertwining all the stories of these 8 people that spend this weekend together. And it really is a good look at them, but it's not through rose-colored glasses. They have their, their annoyances and their And it's a great look of how surprising it is to realize now you're a grown up, right, Joel?
Yes.
Now you're a grown up, Joel.
Yeah, I know.
So but I love how the actors really work hard to not make it sentimental, and the script doesn't make it a sentimental kind of reunion. And I love that about the movie as well. And of course, one of the best ensembles for the time: Kevin Kline, Glenn Close, William Hurt, Tom Berenger, Jo Beth Williams, Mary Kay Place, and Meg Tilly. They work so beautifully together, and I think it's because they spent 3 weeks before the movie started just rehearsing, getting to know each other, and obviously working on the script of the movie. And I don't think there's a bad performance from anybody in the film. I think it's really great. Okay. Oh yeah, and Kevin Costner is in the movie. He plays Alex, and that's his body being dressed at the beginning of the film. You never see his face, and he never speaks, and yet it's one of his best performances.
Ouch.
Seriously.
That's Kevin Costner in the opening sequence?
Yeah, that's Kevin
Wow.
Costner. But he was actually in the movie because they did shoot another scene that was supposed to
okay.
come at the end of the movie. It was a 10-minute flashback to them 15 years earlier at a Thanksgiving party, but that was cut from the movie because the test audience didn't like it. But I think at the same time, it was a great decision because the vision of those people that we had of what they were like in college would have been ruined by seeing them, with bad wigs and fringe dresses on, whatever it was.
I think that's totally true. And a lot of people I read were asking Kasdan to do a director's cut and put it back in. And he said he will never put it in. That was my director's cut. I thought that was a great response.
Yeah, so it ends with them just saying they're going to move in and they're going to be great. And then of course the soundtrack, which I mean, taking I think a little bit of a cue from American Graffiti, which really basically was all hits from the 50s. In this case, they're all songs from Kasdan's era when he was in college. And I can't even hear Ain't Too Proud to Beg without picturing them cleaning up after dinner. For me, that's an iconic moment. But now also the music makes me think of Jeff Pliskin, because in the movie, Jeff Goldblum says, there has been some great music written in this century. And Kevin Kline replies, not in this house. That's Jeff Pliskin.
I totally thought of Jeff too.
Same thing, yeah. Same thing here.
All right, and here's a little sidetrack. The movie was filmed in Beaufort, South Carolina, and I've been there because Fripp Island is right near Beaufort, South Carolina. And it was filmed in the same house they filmed The Great Santini, which was written by Pat Conroy, who is from Beaufort, South Carolina, who's friends with Nancy Thody. Well, he's dead now, but
right.
he was friends with Nancy
Wow.
Thody because Nancy Thody's mother was Pat Conroy's English teacher.
Oh my God.
Right? And taught him how to write, basically. Okay, he had nothing to do with The Big Chill, though, except it was filmed. Okay. And it was a big box office smash, earned an Academy Award nomination for Best Picture, Best Screenplay for Lawrence Kasdan, and a supporting actress nod for Glenn Close, I think really because she showed her boobies in the shower and was crying. I think that's why. Okay, so but for me, and the Big Chill does not give up hope. It remains optimistic, and it's lovely to watch these old friends rekindle their friendship and continuing on. And I too have a group of friends from college who I'm still friends with, and every time we get together, it's like no time has passed. We're all 20 something, and we just pick up right where we left off. And this movie captures that perfectly. And for those of you who think that the movie really goes nowhere, I think that's the point. I think the lives of these people have changed in those 15 years, but in the space of this weekend, maybe some people are going to make changes, maybe they're not, but that's life. So of course, I'm going with a complete 4 stars on this one. I love this movie. It's definitely in my 100 favorite movies of all time. So the movies I'm gonna be picking as we go along are gonna be whatever movie I'm up to in my Franken list, and this is number 250. It's also Criterion Collection number something, Joel,
720.
120,
720.
720,
On DVD and Blu-ray, it was 123 on Laserdisc.
because Joel still has a Laserdisc player.
I do.
Annie, can we hear you? Are you in the car?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, it says Annie's 13.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my phone.
Oh, I see. I thought that was your age at the time this movie came out.
A little
17.
bit older.
Or she's planning a jewelry heist or something.
With the,
I missed Annie's 11 and Annie's 12, but I would gladly watch Annie's 13.
Well, we're doing Ocean's 11 at some point, right?
We are.
Yep.
All right, Annie, what did you think?
So I saw this movie when it came out, and I was, I believe, a junior in high school. So I didn't even get to the college part yet. And yet I love the movie. It was for some reason, and I just watched it in August with a group of friends. And then I just saw it this week. And I can't understand why I loved it so much. Right? Like, I can't understand what connection I had to it when I first saw it back in 1983, because I was still in high school.
But the feelings they had in their group of friends was something you were experiencing in high school with your group of high school friends.
Yes, definitely that. And although we didn't have, like, I guess we all had dreams, but it didn't seem, I don't know, maybe it felt like I was so young at
So
that
how do you
time.
feel? How do you feel on this end of the equation?
Well, I love the movie. I just had trouble figuring out why I loved it so much when I was so much younger. Because it's a great movie. It's you know, when you have that group of friends that you always get together with, that's what life is about, you know, just picking up from where you were and continuing your
And I
conversation.
love too how they also did not love everybody, and there were things that annoyed them about different people.
That's totally normal, which I
Oh,
appreciate.
Yeah,
Good writing.
I mean, all of you annoy me in so many ways.
Very true.
So
Oh, sure. I
And
annoy
yet-
myself.
And yet every week you invite us back. So
there we are.
yes.
This is definitely a highlight of my week every week. I love doing this. Okay,
Yeah.
so what's your star rating, Anne?
So I'm giving it a 3.5.
Right?
And really the soundtrack has been with me this whole time. I love the soundtrack, and I put it on a lot.
Great. Aim,
Yeah.
did you see it in 1983?
No, in my mind, I was 17 as well, and I just didn't care. I just couldn't relate to them, so I never saw it. And over the
You,
years, I was like, I
didn't
really-
want to hang out with a bunch of 23-year-olds?
right. Over the years, it's a movie. I always thought I really should watch this movie, so that's why I love doing this, especially the movies we'll be watching this year. It's, you know, I would have never watched it, so I'm glad I did. I didn't hate it. It wasn't torture. Oh, and that's my
There you go.
homage to the movie.
There you go.
I didn't love it. I was like, why is this one of Frank's favorite movies? But now that you've explained it, I totally understand it. And I can understand the love for it. And I'm going to give it 2 3/4 stars. And 1/4 of those stars is for that soundtrack. I was like, I need to get this soundtrack. It was
Yeah.
really great. I enjoyed it. And I totally appreciate the fact that it was just one weekend in their lives. And it's not supposed to be exciting. It's supposed to just be watching their stories. And so I liked it. I just didn't love it. And I also watched it a full week ago. So that's all I remember. I wanted to rewatch it yesterday. I never did. The Odd Couple marathon was on.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Everybody's got priorities.
Yeah.
Idiot. So Mark, there's no superhero, no Flash going on here. What did you think of this talking movie?
No, I love all the genres out there. I can watch any movie really. For me, you know, we all have different perspectives here. For me, I've seen the movie twice before, but I was far too young. It was before I was even in college that I had seen it both times. So I never really related to it. I liked it because it was interesting to me at the time, but I really didn't remember much. But now looking back on it, I did have, it wasn't college friends, but I did have a group of friends similar to what you were saying, Frank, in my college years through the next 12 years when we all got married and moved off and all that stuff. So, and unfortunately, we did have a similar circumstance for why they're getting together in the movie. So I related to that part of it a lot. And the soundtrack, it was 4 stars for me alone. Let's see. I didn't remember the funeral at all. I thought it was a college reunion that they were getting together for. Tom Berenger's. I love the TV show scene when they're all watching it and busting his balls. I feel like that's something I would have done with my old group of friends. I feel like that's something we would do here totally as
that was
friendly, loving, busting balls.
Yeah.
Something about Kevin Kline. I feel he's very charismatic. In any movie he's in, I like him in it. But I will say I am permanently scarred by the world's smallest short shorts that he was wearing every time he went for a run.
Yes.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Wait, I think I read that, no, never mind, go on.
What else? Jeff Goldblum. I thought he was even nerdier and hornier than I was in high school, which is hard to be.
Well, of course, one of the really great scenes is when they're all unpacking and you see the things they brought with them. And what does Jeff Goldblum have but condoms? Yeah.
A lot of them, yeah.
And I was a little surprised. I mean, I guess it was 1983, but almost everybody took out a hairdryer. Like, who dries their hair anymore? Nobody.
Yeah. See, but I thought Jeff Goldblum's character for me, as much as I'm a big fan of his, but I didn't think he fit really in here. He was definitely the odd man out. And again, if you go back to your group of friends, if you're getting together with your group of friends that you sit around with and you drink wine and you have your feet all over each other, you're not trying to bang them. I mean, these are your group of friends. Why would you bring 2 packs of condoms to your BFF's house? I mean, if it was a party, different story. But
That's a good point.
Well, but Meg Tilly was available, so.
yeah, he did try.
And she
And
was
it's like,
very
going to
cute
a
in her little
funeral.
Jane Fonda outfit.
Quite flexible.
Oh my
And she-
God.
I looked her up. She actually went to. She's a full on dancer before she got into acting. She went to dance school, whatever. So
Makes
yeah.
sense. Annie, what
Uh,
were you saying?
there's like going to a funeral, like going to a wedding, you hope you hook up.
I guess
Exactly.
so.
Well,
Here's
if you watch Wedding Crashers,
Oh,
No, wait.
I was just gonna say Will Ferrell and wearing, yeah.
He was
Yes.
also going right from there to Texas, so he might have hooked up there. He was
With the
going to do that
14-year-old?
article on that
Yeah.
girl.
girl.
Well, he does seem like a character that was traveling a lot for his,
Yeah.
for People
But here's the
magazine.
thing,
So
Mark, it's
maybe he
like,
just carried him everywhere.
I think there's always that one person in the group, you don't really love them, and obviously he's changed in 15 years, so maybe he wasn't as obnoxious, but I did get the sense from the group that they didn't really love him, but he was there.
There's some deleted scenes on the Criterion disc, and a lot of them are from the opening of the film at the funeral when he shows up, and there's this running gag of nobody recognizing him, or like Alex's parents not remembering him, which is kind of funny, and I think it informs the character a little bit more. I understand why they cut them, but it's just an interesting,
Well, see, there you go. He was somebody
that
who
makes
was kind of
sense.
on the fringe, and
Yeah.
and he's like, "I'm coming to the funeral." You're like, "All right, well, everybody's staying over."
If
Not
you
yet.
want to. No,
Yeah.
and that's a fair point, Frank, that you
Yeah,
brought up.
it's
'Cause,
like-
yeah,
it's
there is
like-
always that one person.
It's even like in this
Amy.
group, we didn't ask Bill to give us any movies to watch. Same thing. He's on the
Exactly.
fringe. He's on the fringe.
Well, I'm still a
I'll-
special guest, so.
Yes.
Go. I'll end by just saying it was nice seeing Glenn Close, who I thought did a great job. The movies I see her in, she's always, evil or, kidnapping dogs or whatever. So it's nice to see her as a very sympathetic character.
Boiling rabbit.
Well,
This
no,
is all
here
Boiling
she
Rabbits.
said- She said here that just a year before she had done The World According to Garp, where
Yeah.
she played Garp's mother, and it was very warm, loving, and she actually thinks she got cast in this because of that, which is probably true. But she
Well,
wanted to play the Mary Kay Place role.
Yeah, they one of the other things, and there's a couple of documentaries and stuff on the disc, they talk about that, and apparently all the women wanted the Mary Kay Place role, except Mary Kay Place, who apparently didn't connect to the character. She thought the whole thing with wanting to have the baby and having sex with Kevin Kline's character was just so foreign and weird and stuff. But both
But
Jo Beth
weird.
Williams and Glenn Close wanted that part instead. And Glenn Close realized that she got cast because she had played Garp's mother, and Lawrence Kasdan really wanted somebody to play the glue
Maternal, yeah.
to this maternal glue to this group. And the same thing with Kevin Kline. He didn't want to play the part that he's playing. He wanted to play either Jeff Goldblum or Tom Berenger's parts because they were more interesting characters. But
But I thought both of them, Glenn Close and Kevin Kline, I bought their relationship. I mean, they were real people to me. I thought they both knocked it out of the park.
I think it also helps that they knew each other before the film. They came out of New York theater, and then adding 3 to 4 weeks of rehearsal, which is unheard of. It was unheard of then. I mean, now it's like a foreign concept, but to do that much rehearsal beforehand with a cast, really bonded everybody nicely. So
Joel does it on every play he directs.
I don't have a choice. I can't
6
just say,
weeks
oh,
of
it's opening
rehearsal.
night, show up and do this.
6 weeks of rehearsal.
Yeah.
But also Glenn Close had, again, even though she was the supportive mom, all of that, had that scene in the shower where she broke down because she couldn't handle it. But she wouldn't show that side to everybody else. So it was a nice moment for her. An Oscar nomination. So
I think she has a lot of nice moments in the film.
Yeah.
One of the things that struck me, I mean, I've seen the film a few times at this point, but noticing when she and Kevin Kline are in bed and she's on coke, there's just something about that manicness of how she's jumping over him to constantly get his attention to talk to him. I think is kind of brilliant. So,
Mark, are you done?
I'm done. It's 3 stars for me. I did like it, didn't love it. For me, if you want the Brat Pack or whatever, a movie like this, St. Elmo's Fire is more my speed, which I haven't seen. I need to watch that. Maybe I should put that on the list. But no, solid movie, really good movie.
Well, yeah, St. Elmo's obviously is more your era. I think for me, I mean, this was prime movie going time for me. I was, my 20s. All right, Bill, special guest. It would be like, and Bill Wernicke at the end.
As
special guest villain.
As special guest.
Yeah, special guest. I enjoyed it. It's the first time I've ever actually seen it. Again, I'm a little bit, I'm like Mark, so maybe St. Elmo's is probably a little bit more my speed, that same sort of coming of age or, coming of adulthood probably is a better way of putting it. That being said, I mean, it's a fantastic movie. It's like everybody said, the soundtrack is amazing and really is its own character in the movie in a lot of ways. Like you said, Frank, that scene, the scene with where the music really got me was like you said, the scene when they're all cleaning up and they're dancing around the kitchen, and you could tell it was just like, I think that 3 to 4 weeks of rehearsal like that, with the way that this cast gelled together, for me was just one of the real strengths of the movie. Like you really felt those relationships, like right off the bat. When Tom Berenger walks into the funeral and sees Jo Beth Williams and kind of gives her the little wave, you go, okay, there was something there, and as you see that all develop, it was really interesting to watch. Like, it's like, okay, so okay, Kevin Kline's kind of selling out a little bit now, and he's feeling a little guilty about it.
But I love how he's trying to drag everybody else along by giving them a tip that they're gonna be brought up by
and then
like,
that's the
"Come
scene
on."
with Glenn Close where now she's a little manic because now she's coked out thanks to
and
William Hurt.
paranoid.
And she's paranoid about him telling everybody and getting busted for it. The scene where the cop shows up, I thought that was going to blow up a lot worse than it did.
Right.
But it's I had in my mind, again, like you guys, I have a group of friends that I've known since like, a couple of them going back to when I was 12, all the way through, a lot of them that we hung out, started hanging out, college, a bunch of them were in law school together. So it's that little bit of having that little bit of
Nostalgia
change
for
the
your
world
group. Yeah.
and now we're just kind of like, all right, we're all just going through our lives and doing things. We have the Jeff Goldblum, friend that's sort of, in and out, not always there. Sometimes I feel like I'm that person in that group now, but it's not really. It's just, life has moved on, and like those characters, we just don't have the time to get together as much as we used to because we all have other things going on, we
It's
have
so true to life.
other people. And I mean, the one thing that, like, I finished the movie and I was kind of like, that's it. Like, there's no, like, the one thing that really struck me was that with the relationship between JoBeth Williams and JT, whatever,
Tom Berenger.
Tom Berenger.
and Tom Berenger's character, they have that great moment at the end where they finally, they hook up and they're outside, and and then she turns around and she's like, yeah, I'm going back to it. She's packing up and she's going back to her husband after she flat out told him, I'm leaving him, but she's still now, and that relationship just got left completely unresolved.
But I got one thing to say about that. If I was JoBeth Williams' husband, there's no way I'm leaving her alone in the house with Tom
Oh,
Berenger.
I know. Because he picked up on it right off the bat too, that there was something,
Yes. He leaned forward.
He was just such a stick in the mud too, that character. But yeah, like, so I was waiting for at least one of those storylines to wrap up a little bit. So I thought maybe when the cop showed up, following William Hurt, and maybe that would be it. And they had their little moment where Kevin Kline turns around and is like, you're really a shit. Pardon my French, or whatever he says to him. And then that was it. But you know what? That's real life, because that's the kind of stuff that would happen with me and my friends. We've had little blowouts and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's like they did. I could go back down, I could call up my buddy and be like, hey, let's hang out. Go back down to the house. We'll have a poker night, or we'll have, they were going to do, unfortunately, their New Year's Eve got canceled. I wasn't going anyway, but yeah, I mean, we have a lot of friends, and, we always just are able to just kind of slide into things the way that they did. And it was really familiar. So not my favorite movie in the world. I really did want a little bit more resolution of at least one of the storylines that we didn't get. So that bothered me slightly, but it was like that last time where they're all kind of together. I was expecting a little more like a little bit more of like one of those cathartic moments.
Like a flashback to them in college.
Not even that. Just like when William Hurt was getting into it with Tom Berenger again, and they were having their little back and forth. Whenever, that last night where they're all together, just all curled up on the couch together, I was expecting maybe a little bit more to happen there. Like, you have that, like, sort of like everybody has their blow up moments, and it didn't happen. But I think, like you said, with this movie, that's okay. And that's kind of the point. So I was coming around, I was going to give it 2.5. I'll give it 3. Just because I'm starting to, like, just talking to you guys, it's really kind of starting to bring it around. And I think if I probably watched it again, I'd have a lot more appreciation for it.
Exactly. That's why I wanted to watch it again this weekend. I'm going to watch it again for sure.
Yeah, sure you are. Okay.
I will today.
Hey. So when I remember when watching it in the movie theater, and one of the biggest laughs the movie got was at the funeral, and she goes up to play his favorite song, and you think it's going to be some religious thing, and the chords start of "You can't always get what you want," and until people realize what it was, or the titter titter, one of those little building little, and then oh my God, was pretty funny. But that I think that too can be a theme. You can't always get what you want, but sometimes you get what you need. Joel, you have the Criterion disc. You must at least like the movie.
I have every Criterion disc, this.
Oh, so it's compulsive.
Well, yes, it's compulsive, but I would have had this regardless. So, for example, in my Laserdisc collecting days, I didn't collect every Criterion disc. I did have The Big Chill when it was part of the Criterion collection on Laserdisc.
So you like this movie?
I do like this movie. I like Lawrence Kasdan as a writer. And the movie came out at a time where I was just starting to, I knew I liked movies. I didn't know how much and why I liked them until around the end of middle school, start of high school, which is kind of when the movie came out for me. You know, because I'm kind of younger than some of you and a little older than a couple of you. And so I didn't actually see the movie in the theaters. I saw it when it came out on home video, because that's
you had
what
a
I did.
video store at that
I
time.
had, well, I didn't have a video store back then. But I really, you know, I started making those connections. Oh, the guy who wrote and directed this wrote, you know, co-wrote The Empire Strikes Back and wrote the screenplay with George Lucas for Raiders of the Lost Ark. And, you know, he had just done a film called Body Heat, and seeing this actually made me go back to that. And I kind of realized he's a great writer. This is not my favorite Lawrence Kasdan film, but it's a good one. It's part of that era of really solid work he was doing in the mid to late 80s into the early 90s. And then, like everybody said, you know, most people can relate to this in some way because they do have a group of friends that they can just, you know, pick up from wherever they left off, however long it's been. You know, there's a poignancy to seeing this now, because just last week, my college friends who, you know, I haven't seen all of them together in one place in probably since college. But, you know, we've been, you know, we see each other on Facebook basically at this point. That's our real place. And somebody was like, why don't we actually all get together? We haven't done this in forever. Let's plan this for this summer, because it's the 30th anniversary of graduation for some of them. I'm a year older than a few of them. And it's like, yeah, let's do this. And it'll be interesting to see how that, you know, plays out for us. But I can relate to it because you do have those groups of people that
Well,
you-
my Queens college group is actually going on vacation in August. We're going to Punta Cana.
oh,
So,
nice.
Oh,
that'll be fun.
I think
I got to
it's-
remember to bring the condoms though.
I think that it's a tightly written film. It's an amazingly well cast film. You know, obviously some of these are actors. They're all actors kind of starting out at the beginning of their careers. Some of them went on to do better things, you know, and some of them, this may have been the best thing they did, you know, and there's not a false note in it. Even like Don Galloway, who plays Richard, Joe Beth Williams' husband, it's just a perfectly cast bit, and he has his own scene. Even that scene where he's making the sandwich in the middle of the night and talking to I forget who he's with at this point, but it's a well written and heartfelt scene. You kind of understand where he's coming from at that point, even though has no real connection other than I married into this and now I'm going to go away. But for me, it's a solid. You know, I was going to say it was a solid 3-star movie, but gets bumped up because of the soundtrack to 3.5. I'm going to change that. It's a solid 3.5-star movie that gets bumped up to a 3.75 because of the soundtrack. I think the soundtrack, I think the soundtrack really drove the film when it first came out. I think it was such a nostalgic piece for the majority of the public that I think the film itself sometimes gets lost in that. But you know, because it had, you know, they put out the soundtrack and then they put out more songs from The Big Chill, and
Right.
they weren't able to get the rights to use the you can't always get what you want anyway, so it's not on any of the soundtracks. It's just kind of like they could have done a third one if they had actually pushed for that.
But the other great thing that we haven't really touched on is that talk about the great writing of it, is that just adding the Meg Tilly character, because she was never a part of the group and she's significantly younger than the group.
Yeah.
Really added that element of, you know, today's person looking at them and being like, why are you people so uptight? You know,
Yeah.
it was a great element too.
It's interesting, again, watching the stuff on the disc. Meg Tilly makes a couple of comments about how she didn't think people actually got her character, and people would refer to her as a space cadet or an airhead at times in reviews and such, and she got offended for her character because of that, because she's not. She's just in the moment.
Right.
You know, she's listening. When she makes the comment about, you know, her and Alex having sex the night before he died, and it was like the best sex ever, you know, that's not coming out because she's an airhead. She's responding to the conversation that the guys were having. So, you know,
Well, and he knew it was the last time, so he wanted to make it a good one.
right. Well, hopefully for her at least, you know, if he's going to leave her with, you know,
Yeah,
leave her
a
with
good
something.
memory.
Exactly. So yeah, it's a 3.75 for me. You know, I've seen it before. I'll see it again.
Yeah, like I said, I love this movie, so I'm glad you at least enjoyed it, even if you gave it 2.75 stars.
I'm gonna watch it again today. I'm gonna edit this video. One thing I thought was funny was I watched it on demand on IFC channel, and in the you know, I said, show me the info, what you know, what the movie's about. And it's, if I remember correctly, it said a group of college friends get together to listen to their favorite songs. And I was like, what?
Well,
So I was waiting for that, and it never
did.
happened.
well, they were listening to their favorite songs the whole movie. Thanks
That
to
wasn't
Kevin
why they
Kline.
were, you know.
Kevin
yeah.
Kline is kind of the me of the movie, because I will play music wherever I go.
Yeah.
I play the
too.
best music you ever heard all the time. All right, well, thank you for you know, indulging me in this. Next week we go back to the MTU and we review the series Hawkeye, which I just finished watching this week. Aim, where are you up to?
I have to watch 5 and 6,
Okay,
which I'm also gonna watch today.
before or after the big show?
After.
Yeah. Mhm. All right, thank you all. I can't.
Next week.
Thank you.
I need a new closing phrase. I can't see out MCU next week. We're not MCUing anymore.
We are next week.
Well, we are next week.
Oh yeah, well,
Yeah.
MTU next week.
And also with you.